Elizabeth Monroe had dedicated over a decade of her life to Cray Tech, meticulously crafting and maintaining the company's compliance and records framework. Every document was filed with precision, every retention schedule updated promptly, and every legal hold noted down with care. Her work was the backbone of the company's impeccable litigation record, yet in the newly merged Cray Tech world, her efforts seemed invisible. Martin Greavves, the newly appointed general counsel brought in during the merger, had a singular mission: to modernize the legal department by erasing the legacy she represented. To him, Elizabeth was merely the paper lady, a relic of an analog era he was eager to discard. In meetings, he would hold up her carefully prepared binders, sniff them as though they were a bad smell, and lecture on eliminating process friction, flippantly ignoring the years of meticulous work embedded in those pages. Elizabeth never reacted publicly. She simply blinked behind her glasses, noting every misstep, every skipped protocol, every potential hazard. She had seen this play before. Loud suits often mistook visibility for value. Greavves was searching for compliance by complicity, not competence, and she had no intention of volunteering. When Project Phoenix arrived with its glossy memos about digital hygiene and the purge of files older than 2 years, Elizabeth recognized it instantly: a coded attempt to bypass legal holds and critical retention policies. She responded with precision, citing the relevant sections of the data charter and detailing which files were under active legal hold or governed by mandatory retention clauses. She submitted objections, meticulously saved copies, and ensured that every step she took was documented, timestamped, and archived. Greavves waved her memos aside. His team ignored her warnings, eager to show agility, innovation, and compliance with the new shiny agenda. Files flagged for deletion included vendor contracts from 2015 to 2019 and associated middleware integration logs, documents that contained proof of past regulatory diligence, and if mishandled, exposure to liability. Elizabeth maintained a private folder, Greavves overrides, where every directive, memo, and signed order authorizing deletions was stored. She methodically exported logs, cross-referenced them with legal hold notices, and printed hard copies for security. When the deletion phase began, she ensured that no critical file vanished without a trace. She was the invisible firewall. Weeks later, Cray received a subpoena from Keller Systems regarding alleged intellectual property misappropriation tied to those very vendor contracts. The company's internal chaos, Greavves' hasty approvals, and missing metadata immediately raised red flags. During the initial discovery phase, internal discrepancies surfaced: incomplete email chains, missing attachments, altered timestamps, and metadata showing edits after the legal hold had been imposed. The judge issued a formal discovery warning, requiring either the production of the certified records custodian or sworn justification for her absence. Elizabeth had anticipated this moment. She had preserved the full chain of custody, meticulously noting every deletion, every objection, and every directive signed by Greavves. She was ready. The deposition notice arrived with the formalities intact, scheduling her for Friday at 10:30 a.m. in federal court. Elizabeth prepared methodically. She reviewed her logs, affidavits, timestamps, and export certificates. She ensured that every question she could be asked had a factual, verifiable answer, free from conjecture or opinion. When she arrived at the courthouse, she moved with quiet confidence, her attire precise and understated: a charcoal blazer, pressed slacks, and a silver-class briefcase containing her certified custodian logs. She handed her sealed affidavits and logs to the court clerk, presenting them like historical artifacts. Vincent Torres, Keller's lead attorney, greeted her with a measured nod, acknowledging her preparation. The courtroom was tense as Greavves and the in-house legal team sat uneasily. The judge confirmed the scope of the deposition, emphasizing that Elizabeth would testify to past practices during her tenure and that her factual knowledge was relevant, irrespective of her current employment status. Elizabeth's testimony was precise and unwavering. She recited retention policies, highlighted legal hold statuses, and identified directives signed by Greavves himself. She presented her internal objection memos, all time-stamped and notarized, detailing every risk she had flagged during Project Phoenix. When questioned, she did not speculate. She did not editorialize. She presented facts corroborated by certified records and logs. Greavves attempted to object, claiming bias or motive due to her layoff. The judge dismissed this, affirming that her duty was to present factual testimony about her period of employment. Elizabeth's credibility, rooted in meticulous documentation and procedural fidelity, stood unshaken. Over the following days, internal panic grew within Cray. Junior legal associates refused to touch flagged files. The CFO demanded audits. IT quietly requested confirmation of existing hard copies. Greavves scrambled, realizing that his attempts to centralize deletion authority had backfired spectacularly. Meanwhile, Elizabeth, working through her LLC, Custodia Consulting, prepared for further involvement as needed, always emphasizing procedural accuracy over dramatics. In court, her clear, calm explanations of metadata, retention schedules, and legal hold protocols left an indelible impression. Keller's legal team confirmed that she had preserved everything relevant, every time-stamped objection, and all access logs. The judge, noting the thoroughness of her documentation, indicated potential sanctions under Rule 37 for willful deletion of files under legal hold, citing gross negligence and possible spoliation of evidence. Outside the courtroom, the ramifications of Elizabeth's work began to unfold. Cray initiated an internal review of executive decision logs, Greavves' authority, and all deletions under Project Phoenix. The firm's insurance carrier evaluated potential liability, while HR reviewed retention and compliance procedures. Elizabeth, meanwhile, continued her consulting work, training other organizations on best practices for records retention, metadata integrity, and legal hold compliance. Her role became advisory, yet highly influential. She taught firms how a single mismanaged directive could escalate to multi-million-dollar settlements and reputational damage. The media barely noticed the nuanced story, but within compliance circles, her approach became case study material. Corporate seminars and training programs began to cite her methodology as exemplary. Meticulous documentation, proactive objection filings, and preservation of all digital and physical evidence. Martin Greavves' departure was swift. He resigned quietly, leaving behind a trail of questionable deletions and unauthorized overrides. His exit was noted in an HR announcement, but the impact of his decisions lingered internally. Elizabeth, in contrast, received a quiet acknowledgement from Cray's board, recognizing her integrity and the weight of her objections. No public applause, no dramatic fanfare, just a formal statement confirming the significance of her adherence to protocol and the foresight she had demonstrated. Through all of this, Elizabeth maintained her composure. She never gloatingly pointed out Greavves' mistakes. She simply relied on the strength of her records and the structure she had put in place. Her professionalism and dedication were her shield, her tools, and her legacy. Her story circulated quietly among professionals, whispered in compliance conferences, cited in continuing legal education programs, and referenced in internal memos as the example of how diligence and foresight can prevent catastrophic corporate liability. Elizabeth Monroe had transitioned from a behind-the-scenes records custodian to a respected independent consultant. She trained legal teams, advised corporations, and ensured that organizations understood the gravity of proper documentation, legal holds, and procedural compliance. Her method was consistent, factual, meticulous, and deliberate. When asked by junior compliance officers or legal assistants for advice, she never dramatized. She simply instructed, explained, and demonstrated. Word of her work spread across the industry. Firms learned that meticulous record-keeping and procedural adherence could be more powerful than flashy presentations, dramatic speeches, or rapid-fire initiatives from overconfident executives. Her name became synonymous with reliability, foresight, and unassailable compliance. At conferences, when someone joked that records officers never go to jail because they just file things, Elizabeth would pass silently, heels clicking softly on the carpet, her presence a quiet testament to the truth. The strength of structure outlasts the noise of the moment. Those who had once mocked her binders and meticulous processes now quietly sought her advice, understanding that one missing memo, one ignored hold, could cost millions. Her work ensured that organization recognized the importance of process integrity, metadata preservation, and compliance documentation, not as bureaucracy, but as protection, a safeguard against negligence and corporate missteps. The story of Elizabeth Monroe remained a quiet legend, a tale not of dramatic confrontation or public vindication, but of patient, precise, and unwavering dedication to her duty. In a world eager for quick fixes and flashy gestures, she demonstrated the enduring power of careful documentation, foresight, and integrity.